universe at LA2M.org/live. And you are here in person. Thank you for being here. This is LA2M, formerly known as Lunch and Armor Marketing. LA2M is a 501c3 nonprofit. We hold meetings every Wednesday, except for certain holidays like Christmas. And but otherwise we're here, and we have a great time. We have great speakers, smart people show up, and we all learn something. I'm curious, anyone here for your very first LA2M? First timers, okay, a bunch of you. Welcome folks. That's what happens when we have great speakers. People come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, great speakers ain't me.
And Sean, Hickey. Yeah, people come out of the woodwork. So welcome to LA2M. I think some of you may have been, were you invited by someone? How'd you hear about LA2M?
It's the Spark website.
Spark website? Okay. How about you? How'd you hear about LA2M?
I work with Move Communications, and so we know Sean.
Okay, so you know Sean. Great. Anyone else friends of Sean? Come here to see Sean?
No.
Okay, nice. A few friends, a couple friends? I think he has a lot of friends. How'd you hear about it?
Actually for meetup.com.
Meetup.com?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So just so all of you know, we do have a meetup.com website for LA2M. So if you say that you want to come to LA2M, it'll give you updates just to remind you who's coming, which is nice. We also have an email newsletter that goes out to around 2,000 people. Most of you probably get that, I hope. You guys get that? Most of you? Okay, good. If you're new, you probably signed up for the list, so you'll get those emails. And that's just a once-a-week update of who's coming. It also features our sponsors. So it's a great value to be a sponsor because you get a nice banner and billboard on that newsletter that goes out to 2,000 people, which has great open rates, great click rates. And our sponsors have a lot of success with being sponsors. And speaking of sponsors, we have a great sponsor this month. See these flyers on your table? The Search Marketing Workshop is coming up, which is an incredible value. There is a discount code here, so you can get it for $30. It's pretty much an all-day conference at Eastern. And
actually, a jumbo half-day conference. Ends at 2. Start at 8, end at 2. Go do fun things in the afternoon.
That's Bud Gibson. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Boy, this is almost like this is your life. So, at any rate, I'm Bud Gibson. I'm creator of the Search Marketing Program at Eastern. We put on an annual conference. This is our 4th year. We target it at people who are getting into the digital marketing world. So beginner, intermediate. There is some chance for advanced talk with our 20 presenters. This year we're going to have Mary Hennigy, who is the Director of Social Media and Digital Communication at General Motors. So she's in charge of all of GM's websites. And then she's going to be our morning keynote. And then for our afternoon, we're going to have Chad Weedasick, who's Director of Social Media and Interactive Marketing for Pure Michigan. So 2 noted experts, people who are really leading the way in their fields. And then in between, we have 4 workshop sessions, and that's where our 20 speakers, of whom Sean Hickey is going to be one of our panelists, and we chose him for his practical insight. I think this is maybe the 3rd time we've done it. We've done it 4 years, and this is Sean's 3rd time, so we've had him back numerous times. But it's only $30. You get a great breakfast and lunch, lots of networking, lots of knowledge. We've sold 2/3 of the seats. So if you want to get in, please get in fast. Thanks.
Great. Well, you heard it here, folks. That's the conference to be at. And what's the date again? It's November 7th, so that's coming up. Speaking of events, next Tuesday is TEDx Detroit. Anyone going to TEDx Detroit? A few of you.
Great.
A handful of you. Okay, good. Well, that's a great event. If you can go, I suggest you go. TEDx is a great conference. It's all about the city of Detroit and cool things that are happening. And then after the conference, you get to go kick field goals at the Detroit Lions Ford Field, which is going to be fun. So come on out there. And what else? We do have, for any of you newcomers, we are live tweeting from this event. So our hashtag LA2M or at LA2M, and Emily is tweeting back for LA2M. We do live stream these events. Roger Rail films them and live streams them, so we have people all over the world watching, especially in Iceland. I'm not sure why. LA2M is very popular there. We also have Carter Sherline, who takes pictures for us, which is great. Thank you, Carter. And he puts them up on Facebook so you can tag your friends. Mary Lou Olds is our one employee. We have an employee here because there's so much work to do. And as you guys may have noticed, there is a $5 fee to get into LA2M. This is This is new this year, and the reason we used to just pass the hat, which is cool, but LA2M has a lot of expenses, and we didn't like running in the red, so this allows us to kind of stay above the red line because it's a lot of work to run a weekly program, and we are volunteers. You know, Stacy's a volunteer, Jim, who's about to speak, is a volunteer, I'm a volunteer. This is a volunteer organization, so this, your $5 helps support us, so thank you. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, so our job is to create educational programming and to be here every week. And to talk about that, I'm going to let Jim Musical take over the mic here for a minute.
Hi everybody, my name's Jim, as Derek said, and one of the things, you know, we're really fortunate and we're really happy to see the big crowd here today, and we hope you keep coming back. I know a lot of you are regulars and I see you here every week, but it's really important that we keep this organization going. We have a strong organization that helps us bring in great speakers like Sean today. The last couple of weeks we've had phenomenal speakers. A great way for you to do that is if you do enjoy today and you plan to come back, on your table is a little card. Business size card. Take one, put it with your business cards, and give it to a coworker, give it to a colleague, give it to a client. Bring them to LA2M. Buy a lunch. You know, what a great place to bring a client. Come here, see a great marketing presentation, learn something, and then walk away with a great value. And for $5 for the cost of a cup of coffee. So we do appreciate you being here today. We couldn't be here without our sponsors, as Derek was saying. We do have a gold sponsor for this year, and it is Washtenaw Community College. In the back, on the back table there, we have brochures. They have some phenomenal digital marketing classes that they offer. So if you're interested in that, please pick up a pamphlet in the back. So we greatly appreciate Washtenaw Community College, who is our gold sponsor and will be our sponsor throughout the year. In addition to our monthly sponsors, like Bud is with the Search Marketing Workshop. We're very fortunate to have that. He is our sponsor this month and next month as well. But we're looking for a sponsor for November. So if your company or you personally, your company would like to sponsor LA2M, it's a great way to get your name in front of everyone. You get the opportunity to be up here each week and say a few words. So if you're interested, please see me, see one of us, Derek, and we'd love to talk to you about sponsorship. So I'll give it back to Derek, and I hope you enjoy the presentation today.
Thanks, Jim. So again, the sponsor's only $250, so November's available. Does anybody want it? Anybody feeling frisky? Yeah, I know, some of you are. Talk to Jim, talk to us afterwards, but we want to get, because sponsors are key, so then you get to talk like Bud does at the beginning of the meeting, which is great. All right, so without further ado, we have a great speaker today, talented speaker, who's going to talk about some enlightening things. There will be some time for Q&A, potentially, and we'll do Q&A, and then at the end, at 12:45, you'll get to introduce yourself. So, plan your introduction, brief introductions. And but today's speaker is Sean Hickey from PWG. Sean is a longtime friend of LA2M, and he's great. So let's give him a round of applause. I'll switch over his talk. Let's give Sean Hickey a round of applause.
Are we in fact? Okay, I am on. By the way, I hate microphones. Despite having done radio and voiceover for years, I still hate microphones. So, can't hear me, tell me that. First, I have a task for someone who's getting food delivered. Tell your server the speaker would like a glass of water. So, we can cover that. So how many of you, give that up, we can, I'll leave, thank you, Bill. So how many of you here today primarily would say you make your living in marketing? Okay, given that it's small Ann Arbor marketing, that's good. How many of you primarily make your living in sales? All right, so about even. How many of you do some other sort of business function? All right, and then how many of you are here for the Java users group and need to sneak out? Okay, cool. So we're all in the right place. And we're going to talk a little bit today about storytelling, and I call this storytelling for complex brands. But you know, at the end of the day, it's all storytelling, and storytelling is a big, important piece of marketing. But for complex brands, one of the things I find is people forget to tell the story. They get all down in the technology and in the speeds and feeds, and it does this and it does that, and look at that, and this is really cool. And they forgot that they need to tell somebody a story that gets them to go through the buyer's journey, to buy the product. So let me give you a little bit about my background, just so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. Anybody who's seen me present before, you will not see a presentation from me without a picture of me holding a fish. It ain't gonna happen. So we got that portion out of the way. Didn't put the one up from this weekend yet, but it'll get there. Dan Law's all excited back there. Dan's like, ooh, fish, cool. So yeah, I'll always have fish porn. As Derek mentioned, I'm Chief Operating Officer of PWB Marketing Communications. I've been there like 20 years, which in dog years is a long time. My primary focus is on branding and demand generation. Those really are the areas that my core expertise is in. However, I have a very strong sales background. I do a lot of our business development. Prior to coming to PWB, I carried a bag and I had a quota, and I know how that world works. My dad was a sales guy. My grandfather sold radio advertising for John Luce Booth in the 50s. My grandfather was John Luce Booth's first ever television salesman. So my family's been at this for a while. And when I first got out of grad school, I worked for this guy. And he said, if you go on a sales call and they buy something, it's selling. And if they don't, it's marketing. I've spent my whole career trying to live that down. Where I come at marketing from is a very sales-focused perspective. Marketing is here to support sales, to enable sales, and sales can help marketing with the things that we need to do. So one of my things is we got to start breaking those barriers down. You know, we all got to go have that hug in the woods and sing Kumbaya. In my spare time, which I don't have any of, I'm also adjunct faculty at Kettering University. So I teach marketing to engineers. And yes, it's that hard. It's actually really been a cool experience, and I've seen some amazing things. I teach in an entrepreneurial class, and I teach the last segment of a semester-long course in which they have to dream up a product, prove its viability and financial viability, and then I help them figure out, okay, now how do you take it to market? Who do you sell it to? What channels do you use? How are you positioning your product? Kind of all of those things. I'm a proud Central Michigan Chippewa despite our football season this year. Though beating a Big Ten team, always good. We don't get to do that every year. All right, so let's talk storytelling a little bit. That's me. You got to see the cool fish. You know, if you want to talk about those later during the Q&A, I'll be happy to answer any questions you need on those. So how many of you have heard of the term the buyer's journey? Yeah, it's this big bullshit thing that's out there now, mostly. What it really is a fancy way to say that people go through a process when they're considering the purchase of something. And I would say actually that process even goes further back. That process goes back to before they're even considering it. That process goes back to when they're figuring out, you know, I got a problem. I wonder if there's a solution out there for me. And they go through this process that takes them to a decision to purchase and finally a purchase, and if you're lucky, a repeat purchase. So most people think it goes like this. And if you're buying soup, this is kind of how it works. I'm hungry. I wonder how I don't get hungry. Oh, I could buy soup. A, B. Complex products are a little different. Turns out they're complicated. Funny how that works. And even not so complex products really kind of work like this as well. So that's kind of what the buyer's journey looks like for a complex product. I got to kind of consider this, and I got to think about this other thing, and then this happens, and then I'm a little further along, and now I've learned about a bunch of things, and now I've got to think about these other things. So as a marketer, I look at that and I'm like, holy crap, how do I not get lost in all that? How do I make sure that my product goes from there to there? Because this stuff's cool, and it's important, and we're going to talk a lot about it today. But at the end of the day, remember that whole marketing and selling thing that my boss said? At the end of the day, marketing is about selling stuff. That's all we do here. So, by the way, I've been dying to use this slide, this photo and slide, like since I took it 2 years ago. And today it finally worked, so I'm really excited. So anybody who lives out in Dexter knows where this is. I ride my bike by it all the time, and every time I've seen it, I'm like, man, that's going to make an awesome PowerPoint. So congratulations, you're the first ever group to see it. Every turn along that process, you make decisions. You make decisions for what you're going to consider, for what you're going to pay attention to. Eventually you start to consider, what model do I need to buy, and how many of them do I need to buy, and is this going to meet my needs? All these things are going to happen when you're on that buyer's journey. So, you know, you got to watch Brand Road, because it all ties back to it. By the way, Brand Road is actually a dead end road, which I think is hilarious.
I actually one day rode down it just because I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is all. That's dead end road. I'm like, awesome. I work in marketing and brand road is a dead end road. Metaphor for my life. I love infographics. I think they're cool. I'm not very good at making them. That's why I have designers that work for me that can do it. But here you go. Here's the limits of my PowerPoint skills. At the end of the day, the selling cycle and the marketing cycle is a process. And that process goes from broader to narrower. As people become aware of either a product or a need, then they start to pay attention to potential solutions. Then they start with the phase that I call considerations, which is really where you start to say, well, okay, I'm aware of these 5 solutions, and I need to narrow that down to 2. Then there's the selection process, which is, okay, I'm kind of getting ready to buy now. So, what things have I decided are important to me, and how am I going to pick it? And then ultimately, at the end of the day, you get what my old boss wanted, which is they buy something. And by the way, purchase wouldn't fit in that top little narrow box, so I did buy. See, I'm both a designer and a writer. So let's go through a hypothetical scenario with this. And I love the iPhone 6. I've been enjoying all of the iPhone 6 rollout. I know Bud's a big fan. I've been following your antics on Facebook.
Yes.
So I said, all right, well, what's a set of messages that would take me through those steps for the iPhone 47? So the iPhone 47 is coming in June. That's the awareness step. And this is a grossly oversimplified story, but at the awareness level, I say, there's something new coming, it's really cool, you need it. And because it's the iPhone 47, you need it. So by the way, going from 6 to 47, they're going to have to get moving. Then at the attention stage, I can start to use a still pretty general message, but one that's a little bit, it's self-serving. I want to get you to raise your hand. I want to get you to start to think about me. So test drive an iPhone 47 and win iBeats headphones. Okay, there's another purchase, by the way, that I do not understand. Why Apple bought Beats. I hope someday it will make sense to me. Then you start to move down to consideration. So for example, a message like, 4 out of 5 customers prefer the iPhone 47 to Windows or Android smartphones. All right, well, if I'm a little further down there, I go, wow, this has got some market acceptance, and people are more interested in this product than that product. Maybe I should be looking at that. Now I start getting into selection. Now all of a sudden I'm interested in things like battery life, and things like what OS is it on, and are the apps that I want there, and what color is it, and all kinds of silly things. So in my scenario, I said, the iPhone 47 makes you invisible, solves world peace, and fixes the NFL. It's pretty easy, right? Now I've taken you all the way through that journey, taken you all the way down the road, and got you to go, I think I want an iPhone 47, so now the message is, it's on sale now, you can come get it. Go camp out at your Apple store for 3 days like all these other idiots. Which is kind of funny because I was up in UP last weekend, and my mom commented she'd seen all this stuff on the news about people camping out in places. My mom's like, you could come up here to the UP, to the Radio Shack, and walk in and buy one. They have that. So, these people that are like spending all this time and money to camp out someplace, it's like drive to the Central Upper Peninsula, go to the Radio Shack. They had 5 of them. So you can kind of see how this starts to play out again on a fairly simplistic level. Obviously, you can imagine if I sell enterprise software that costs $10,000 a seat and is going to be a multi-million-dollar deal, that message is a lot more complex. But what we're doing is forcing you to kind of think through, all right, I got to take people on a journey. I've got to tell them a story. At the end of the day, a lot of our marketing craft, a friend and former neighbor of mine is the author Charles Baxter. And I got talking to Charlie one day about his craft and my craft, and they're not that different. Charlie tells stories that he tries to engage people, and he takes them on a journey from one place to another. And by the way, Charlie loved my dog. My dog is actually featured in the book Feast of Love. So just goofy aside. So then I started doing a little bit of research, and I actually went out and kind of looked around in the fiction writers' circles to kind of say, all right, well, what do they say makes a good story? And I kind of came up with this list that really is partially stolen from other people and partially things that I made up. But a few things came through as kind of common threads in what makes a good story. So the first is trust in the telling. Do I believe in the person that's telling me the story? So for you as a marketer, this is where that branding thing comes in. I've got a good brand. I've got a trusted, reputable brand. I have some trust that somebody else might not have. Conversely, if I don't have a good brand, I don't have a trusted brand, well, then I better figure out how I'm going to do that. The second piece of a good story is drama. Got to be something that makes it interesting. There's got to be something that causes you to go, oh, I want to turn to that next page, or I want to go to that next step, or I want to call that 800 number, or I want to go to that website, or I want to do whatever it is you as marketers want them to do. The next piece, and I put these as kind of linear, but they're really not. They're kind of all equally important in my mind, is identification. You need to be able to identify with the problem, the solution, some element of the story. You need to be able to look at the story and go, oh, okay, I can see myself in this. I had a client who used to call it radio station WIFM, what's in it for me? Immersion is another piece. A good story is a story you can get into on a lot of levels. I mean, you all know those. There's those books you pick up and you just can't put the book down. That's an immersion thing. And if I'm telling a marketing story, I want somebody to go, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting. I do want to read more. Why, yes, I would like to know more. Simplicity. Here's the one for the complex product. How many of you work with marketing some sort of complex product? Software, technology, something like that. How many of you work with a bunch of uber geeks that want to tell everybody about all the features? Welcome to my world. Teaching engineers marketing. What gets lost is somebody's ability to go, oh, okay, I get it. They're the phone that 4 out of 5 consumers prefer. So making sure that that story is simple enough that it's memorable, that it's understandable, that it's comprehensible, that it's not so complex, because we're also bombarded with information right now. What I find from a marketer's perspective, probably the best piece of advice I could give you about marketing and messaging and storytelling is people are overwhelmed. If it's too complicated, they're going to go out of here. Too much to think about, got too much other stuff to process, need to go check Facebook, I got to go tweet something, oh, I probably ought to go to work, the kids need to go to soccer practice, that's complicated, done. People's attention span now is like that long. It's part of my new operating philosophy too, which has actually served me really well. People are stupid. If you just assume that they're stupid, then you won't be disappointed when they are, and you'll be delighted when they're not. But all of this media has made us all collectively dumber. And I tell people all the time that Google has made me a dumber person. Because there's now all this category of stuff that I don't have to know anymore, because I know where it is. So when I go to remember it, it's like, oh crap, I can't remember that. The personal conclusion is one that I found this in one fiction writer's website, and I really like it. And it's this idea that, you know, the person that tells the bad joke that always has to do the, you know, huh? Hey, see what I did there, huh? That's bad. In a good story, those people ought to come to that conclusion all on their own. They ought to go through that iPhone 47 story and they ought to say, yeah, I think that's the right one for me, as opposed to us saying it's the right one for you. People don't like that, and in a market where they want choice, that's really an important thing. And then finally, familiarity. It's seeing that story, it's seeing that tale, it's you know, it's a little bit like the identification. It's the, okay, I get where this is going, I get what this is like, I live there. So those for me, I think, are some things that I look at and say, okay, when I need to tell a story, you know, how am I going to do that, and how am I going to walk people through it? So I once had a client who told me this great parable of how do you eat a cow one bite at a time. And this was the coolest graphic I could find through Google, so I stole it. But what we're really trying to do here is, with a story, is think about things from the macro perspective. And I really first started thinking about marketing and storytelling a few years ago when I was in a meeting with the CMO of a technology company that makes very big, very complex enterprise software. And his concern was, do we have a story? Do we have a story that says, why should I buy this? And do we have a story that takes you from end to end? Or do we just have a collection of random messages that don't really match up very well that we haven't thought through? And that really got me thinking about what I do from a demand generation perspective and saying, okay, this is very valid. I've got to get with my clients to say, you need to have a story. You need to be able to say, it's journalism at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's why did we do this? What problems does it solve? How are those problems like yours? Who else have we solved it for? Kind of all of those things. So I think the first piece is really, what's that whole story that I want to tell? What's my shtick? And then you start to look at, well, okay, can I break that up into some logical pieces? Does it break down into bite-sized chunks? Or do I say, well, okay, it's going to depend on what medium I'm telling it through, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. And then if there are those pieces, how do those pieces map to my selling cycle? How do those pieces map to the way I've figured out that, hey, my product or service gets sold? How do I go back to that road that I showed you that went all over the place? Well, my story's got to map to that, so that when they get to point C, I have something to tell them. So I think those are all important things. And then last but not least, how do I make it meaningful? And we'll talk more about that in a minute, because I think this is something that is grossly lacking in a lot of what I see in storytelling. The next piece also is, let's consider how I'm telling my story. So, you think about the parallels of storytelling in real life. Well, it's the caveman around the campfire, and then it evolved to paint stuff on, the walls of caves with charcoal, and now we do it on YouTube. Today, it's really a little bit like that. I've got tools like the web, I've got advertising, I've got email, I've got the burgeoning field of social media that expands every day. I think I've got it figured out that I find 3 new things. I'm like, I've never even heard of that. I tell my students in Kettering, I'm like, you guys as a group specifically exist to drive people like me insane. Because just about the time I think I got it figured out, you've invented something new. I'm like, okay, I just figured out Twitter. What the hell is Snapchat? But then also you've got more traditional stuff. You've got things like trade shows. And God forbid, a lot of products get sold by personal sales calls. Funny how that works. So your story's got to be adaptable to all of these channels. You've got to be able to say, well, this portion of my story is probably better told on the website. Whereas this portion, I can tell in an ad. Because in an ad, I don't have a lot of time for attention. I'm driving by one of Dan Law's billboards. I can't tell much of a story there, can I? About 5 words. So really kind of thinking about, okay, well, now I've got those pieces of my story. Do those map well to specific places that are in my channels for outbound communication? So a few tips and tricks for stories from my perspective. It needs to be relevant to the audience. It needs to be interesting to the audience. It needs to be compelling to the audience. You see what I did there with the bold there? This is the problem. A lot of us tell the story we want to tell, and we forget about the story the customer wants to hear. We forget about what it was they needed, why it was they even started looking at your product in the first place. We're like, no, that's all cool and everything, but I want to tell you about this. We're now in a world where people have lots and lots and lots of options. And it's easy for them to go, no, I'm going to go to the person that wants to talk about my needs as opposed to what they want to talk about. And then finally, and this is where we differ from the world of the fiction writer. Because all a fiction writer wants you to do is turn the next page. And we're all trained to turn the next page, so we just do it anyway. Until we get bored with the book and put it down. What we've got to do in the stories that we tell as marketers is we've got to ask them to go to the next step. This is that classic sales maxim, always be closing. Hey, did that sound cool to you? Like us on Facebook. Watch our video on YouTube. Stick your hand up and ask for a sales call. Any of a variety of things that, okay, I've still got your attention, I've gotten you to engage a bit. Please, continue on my journey. So, if you're getting the picture here, one of the coolest things, I got a couple of communications degrees, and one of the best things they taught me was receiver-oriented communication. you need to think about your story from the perspective of the receiver. And what I find all too many marketers do, I would say this is the number one mistake in marketing, is thinking about the story that I want to tell you without thinking about the context of what are your needs, what it is you're looking for, what are you going to be receptive to. By the way, I had a really hard time finding pictures of NFL receivers who weren't really straining to catch the ball. With stuff, I'm like, okay, I got to find somebody where they're actually throwing it to the intended market. But this whole idea of receiver-focused communication, to me, I think is a really key thing. That as you're thinking about how do I tell my story, how do I bring my messaging out, really thinking about, okay, and is the story that I want to tell aligned with the needs of my customer? And that's frankly, that's a whole other LA2M session, which is, do I even know who my customer is? Because that would be the number 2 problem I see in marketing. A lot of people who don't really know who their end customer is, or if they do, they don't know very much about them. So a few takeaways from today, and just some things that I would tell you to think about, in addition to, obviously focus on that receiver. Figure out who it is I'm trying to talk to, what it is I'm trying to tell them, and what motivates those folks. Your story can build in complexity, but it can only build in complexity as the buyer engages. So as they go up that pyramid and that pyramid gets more narrow, you can start to give them more complicated messages because they're de facto giving you permission to have a more extensive dialogue with them. As they get a little further into this process, you can make the story a little more complex. I mean, think about it. How many books have you read where you pick it up and like in the first 5 pages you're like, can't process too much. That's what I'm telling you here, is start off with something that draws them in. It doesn't have to be too complex, but that catches them and it says, hey, do you have a problem with this? Well, we've got a couple of solutions. Let's talk about maybe how those might work and how they might apply to you. Be engaging, tell an interesting story. Just because you sell a boring product doesn't mean you have to tell a boring story. We're working on a storytelling project right now for a client who sells product data management software. It is almost as fascinating as it sounds. It's one of the least visually interesting products I've ever marketed, and I've marketed industrial liquid filtration and a variety of other things that are really ugly. But we've ended up coming up with this really cool storytelling application that I can't show you yet today. This is the cool part. You guys are getting a preview. We're actually starting a new arm of PWB that is specifically focused on storytelling. And what's funny is that it's an outgrowth of stuff that we have people on our team who are uniquely talented at, but we just kind of put it all together and we're like, oh, well that's what this is. This at the end of the day really is a storytelling application. So we've taken this incredibly complex product and honestly we've turned it into a Warner Brothers cartoon. It's like classic Bugs Bunny. It's really cool. Everybody that I've shown the clips to, and I've only shown it to a few people so far because we're kind of keeping it limited until we're really ready to talk about it, but everybody sees it goes, oh, that's cool. Because this is this multi-million-dollar piece of software that most people just can't get their heads around. Well, okay, but what does it do? Or, for example, I was talking to a client in the financial services industry, and one of my comments to them was, one of the things that we've seen in research is when you market to millennials in the financial services industry, millennials don't know much about finance. They really aren't very educated about money. It's pretty consistently demonstrated in the research. So, for example, having a good storytelling application that explains to a millennial, well, why should I do a long-term investment? Or why is buying a house advantageous to me over renting? Finding a good way to tell that story that, again, considers that person's perspective and it takes them on a journey from point A to point B is really a helpful thing. And then last but not least, consider the medium. You can do things on a website that you can't do on a billboard. Trust me. Websites are 5 words, or billboards are 5 words. Websites should be 5 words. That'd be better in some ways. Be easier. I just wrote an entire one last week, so. But consider that medium. Consider, that there are things you can do in social that you can't do in advertising. There are things that need a longer form, like the web, or heaven forbid, brochures. Remember those? We still do them. They're still necessary. And in fact, in a lot of markets, they're key. For example, I have clients who make manufacturing and industrial capital equipment, machinery. And if you sell in Asia, you better have a brochure. Because if you show up in Asia without a brochure, you're not real. I don't care if you have the world's greatest website, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a brochure that you can hand that person you're interacting with, you don't exist. So in that market, now that's part of a key part of my story. So that's kind of my stick today on storytelling. I tried to kind of stick to a fairly high level, but to really sort of get you to start to think about these things from the 40,000 foot macro view, to really kind of think about, all right, do I have a story and how do I tell that story? Does that story map in some way to my sales process, and could I change it a little bit so that it does? Or even more importantly, at its highest level, do you look at your story and go, wow, that's just bullshit. I better maybe rework that because that's just not believable. And that's another potential outcome is you look at your story and you say, oh, my story is just not believable, or my story is too complex, or my story is too short. Any of those things. Based on timing, I think I'm about right. So, questions, comments, random rants?
Bring the mic for you, bud.
Oh.
I know you need it. There you go.
Okay. Actually, most
You gotta wait for Vanna White to get
I
in.
don't need a microphone, but that's okay. So, kind of coming back, so one thing that we've noticed is, there's been this tremendous switch from, in the digital world, from desktop to mobile, and we started off talking about the iPhone 6. Was out with an alum firm a few weeks ago. They're in PR, they're on 4 continents, and they said, you know what, we've got to get into app building. Now, this is a PR firm, people who tell stories, right? And so app building was not in your presentation, but I'm sure that quick as on your feet as you are, you can tell me something about apps and storytelling.
So that is an interesting question. So, and frankly, the mobile segment right now is just, as I'm sure you all know, the mobile segment right now, what's going on in mobile is bizarre. It's, for example, I have a long-standing friendship with a guy who's the head of digital media for Harvard Business Review. And every time I see Craig, I say, okay, so mobile-enabled website or app? Do we know yet? And I had lunch with him a couple months ago. He's like, nope. It's like consumers can't decide how they want to consume this media. So, long story short, got to do both. Got to do a responsive website, got to do an app. Apps are an interesting thing, and this is my personal take on this. I'm not going to call apps a fad, but I think they're hot. They're shiny penny. We were talking about they're shiny penny a little bit now. That's going to cool off a bit, especially as people get more and better mobile-enabled websites. I think you're going to see apps cool off a bit because now I don't have to leave my familiar browser to go to yet another app on my phone that I got to download, that I got to update, that I got to do all of that. But depending on your product, yeah, an app's potentially a really great way to tell a story. An app's a good way to own a story. Because now you can say, you know what, this isn't the web, you're looking at my story. Question?
In the About Us section of most web pages, which is, I think, the beginning of the storytelling journey, what are the 3 most important elements that need to be in the About Us for storytelling?
That's a great question. Especially because I've been thinking about this. We're getting ready to redo our website, which is funny because I sell people WordPress websites all the time, but I don't have one. We haven't gotten around to it. Pesky clients keep wanting us to do stuff. I think, frankly, and I totally agree with you, and I think a lot of companies skip over the importance of the About Us page, because I think for a lot of buyers, that's the first place they go. And I think if you had to say 3, I think one of them would be, why did you do this? What problem are you out there to solve? What caused you to create this company? Every company that exists got created out of somebody going, if I was king, blank. So that'd be 1. I think 2 would really depend on kind of the market or service space that you're in. So for example, in my business, one of the things we found out is, and we found this through looking at the analytics on our own website, Other than our homepage, our most visited page on our entire website is the team page. When people are looking at working with a creative resource like ours, they want to know, who are the people I'm working with? Are they cool? Am I going to be able to bond with them? Is there going to be chemistry? Do I like them? Kind of all of those things. So I think in my particular space, I think that's key to it. You know, for example, if you're in a technology product, well, I want to look at that leadership team and say, wow, these are people with a track record of success who know something about my industry. You know, so I think you're saying, okay, why did I do this? And maybe I'd say at a meta level, and here I go thinking on my feet. The second piece, you know, so it's why did I do this? It's how have we solved problems that are like yours? If you've got a long history, I'd like to hear about it. If you don't, that's okay too. You know, we're in a technology business, but if you've got a long history, I think that's an important thing. But, you know, starting to look at that, why did we do this? What problems do we address? And then, you know, who have we done it for that's like you? And then I'm also, just from a purely personal perspective, I'm looking for some vibrancy. I'm looking for, does this look like a company that's got a clue or one that's on life support? Am I looking at Target or am I looking at Kmart? Because as we know, they have somewhat different brands. So I think I went all the way around your question, but hopefully I actually answered it.
Thanks, Sean, for the information. And I know you're coming from a very high level, but it seems like there's something missing. Like at the very beginning, I know what an iPhone is. What if I have a product or service that is not so sexy, is not so well known? Is there a step there that kind of, you know, and I'm thinking from a marketing standpoint, how do I generate that initial buzz about it first to get it out there?
And I think that's an excellent question. And what I would say is, then you've got to actually back your story up. You've got to go back and you've got to tell the story of, I've invented an entirely new category and here's why and here's what this category solves. So honestly, in some ways, that's both the hardest and the coolest part of marketing. Building a category that people don't have a mental category for, it sucks, it's hard. You know, if you say, this is a smartphone, everybody in this room knows what that is. If you say, this is a product data management solution, how many of you know what a product data management solution even is? So I think in that case, what you do is you end up backing up a little bit and you say, all right, I'm going to talk about this space. And then I'm going to move you into, and here's why my solution resolves the issues of that space. But yeah, that's a hard decision for a lot of technology marketers to make, to say, I'm not going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about what needs to be talked about. That's hard for people to do. Because they want to tell their story of, I created this cool software that does this, or I made this machine tool that'll machine in 22 axes. You know, so I think that's another piece of this, is figuring out also what story do I need to tell based on the life cycle of where am I in my company. You know, if I'm a very mature product that everybody knows what it is, well, now I need to talk about why I'm different than all the alternatives. But if I'm something completely brand new, I need to say, well, you know, we're going to explain to you why you need a wireless washing machine. There, I just invented a new product category. I'll start that business later today.
All right.
If I find out that you own wirelesswashingmachines.com later, I'm going to be really annoyed. We'll be partners.
All right, it's time for introductions. Let's give Sean a big round of applause. Thank you. Great talk.
Thanks. It was fun.
Did you have fun? Good.
Yeah. You know, did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
right.
That's my only objective. If you go home and you go, oh, that guy was at least mildly amusing and I learned something, we're good.
Yeah, you got your money's worth. Good. So his talk will be archived up on the website soon, so you can always go back and rewatch it, which is great. And there's actually lots of talks on the website, so if you ever want to learn about a topic, go watch. I think we probably have Sean's previous talks because he's spoken here a few times. But so now we do introductions. We get to stand up and tell us who you are, and pass the mic to your friend. And we get all the way around the room in 15 minutes. Happens every week. It's amazing. And we're going to start up at the front. And I do ask that you stand up and project when you speak. And you ready, Scott? All right, he's ready. Here we go.
I'm Scott Taylor. I'm a founder of a company that makes Solo Shot. It's a camera mount that automatically keeps your camera pointed at you. And it's actually, it is a category creator. And to answer that question, you start with, what problem am I solving? And that's really what you do when you create a category, is you're solving some problem in a way that hasn't been solved this way before. And so start with, what problem am I solving, and address that to your audience.
Hey, I am Ron from Turkey, and now I work as a temporary faculty member in EMU. And at the same time, I am a co-owner of a Turkish website, which is mainly about academician networks, and we always provide daily information regarding academical issues and some kind of important issues to, let's say, young students who think to be an academician soon. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Dunry Greiling, and I do internet strategy and web content for scientific and technical companies.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou with LA2M. Thanks everyone for coming out. What a great trip. I'm really glad to see everyone here. And hope you'll be able to come back next week. That's going to be another great program. We are booked for speakers through 2014, but we are also lining up speakers for 2015. If you'd like to make a recommendation, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. So once again, thanks everyone for coming out, and hope to see you next week.
Hello, my name is Janine McNally, founder of Speak So They Listen, and I help people speak so they are listened to and understood in one-on-one discussions, in meetings, and in presentations.
My name is Kim Burkle. I handle community relations for 5 locally owned Verizon stores, including one right here on Main Street. And my challenge is to build relevant relationships in the community, as well as work on different marketing challenges.
I'm Roger Rail. I help here and in several other networking groups. One of them is Ann Arbor, Ignite Ann Arbor, which is November 7th, 4th? I don't know. Anyway, Ignite Ann Arbor. If you have a story to tell...
To our thing, so it can't be that day.
Yeah, it can't be that day. That's right. It's the Friday after that or something. So if you have a story to tell, and you can tell it in 20 slides in 5 minutes, apply to speak at Ignite Ann Arbor. It's igniteannarbor.com or .org. I think they both work. Also, our Ann Arbor Video Interest Group, if you'd like to tell stories by video and want to learn how, we have a Ann Arbor Video Interest Group that meets the second Wednesday of every month, so it'll be in a couple weeks.
Brad, you missed this guy right here.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm Eric Heisey. I'm the business manager of a medical device startup here in Ann Arbor. We've created an ophthalmic device that allows you to diagnose diabetes up to basically 10 years before the current methods. And my goal is to basically take this technology that scientists and doctors can't understand and explain it to someone's mother. So it's challenging.
Hi, my name is Steve Williamson. I'm a founder of a small startup called Village Crossroads. We've developed a retail website-based marketplace center for senior services and products.
Hi, my name's Lauren. I just moved to Ann Arbor from California with my boyfriend. He's starting at the law school, so I'm very new here, first event. And I hope to make a career out of marketing sustainable products, behaviors, and policies.
My name's Heather Feldkamp, and I'm with Evangelical Homes of Michigan. We're kind of a best-kept secret, 135 years old, but everybody thinks that we're just the old people's home in Saline. We're actually much bigger than that. We do a lot of in-home care all the way to hospice in a 7-county area all in southeast Michigan. So again, Heather Feldkamp, Evangelical Homes of Michigan.
Hi, I'm Barb Davenport. I'm with the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti Regional Chamber.
Hey, I'm Jeff with Steve's Custom Signs. I'm here for networking, and we do, at Steve's Custom Signs, we do branded apparel and signs. Anything that you print your logo on, we can print your logo on for you. So if you want to get the word out about your business at the end of your marketing plan for the people to come to.
I'm Stacy Baca, and I'm a health writer and content strategist. I specialize in patient engagement and health literacy for both print and for web.
Hi, I'm Todd White. I work for the University of Michigan as a software engineer. I actually do web development, and we are looking for a new web developer right now. So if you know anybody that can program in Perl and all the modern web frameworks, come see me or email me at tmwhite@umich.edu. Thanks.
My name is Pat Mueller, and I am a farmer's insurance agent, and I sell insurance to small businesses.
Hi, I'm Pat as well. I'm Pat Zabawa. I'm founder of a startup social networking and communications. It's currently in development, and I'm looking for a branding and marketing service.
Hi, I'm Tammy Mayron. I'm the Search and Social Media Director at PWB, so I'm here tweeting for the boss. I also, in my free time, I'm also the Ann Arbor mom blogger, so I do lots of social media.
Thank you. I don't know if you would notice me back here. My name is April Davis. I'm the president of Breakout Marketing Group. I moved here from Buffalo, New York in 2000. So I'm getting a little bit familiar with this area. I graduated from Eastern Michigan University, but I've always had a love for marketing. So in 1999, I started Breakout Marketing Group, which helps small businesses with their developments of brand awareness, exposure, and customer retention. And I've been learning since I've gotten here that how much the platform of marketing has changed to social media. And so that means that I really have to get on top of the game and find out ways to help customers with the exposure, but not through the old traditional ways of doing it with the newspapers and print, but now electronically. So we really have to be on the cutting edge of getting people the things that they want instantly.
Hi, my name is Ian Tran, and I'm with a startup that focuses on, it's called Motion. We focus on taking big picture challenges in society and figuring out how an everyday company or government can plug into doing what they do more efficiently, but also having better community impacts locally.
Hi, my name is Andrea Kelly. I'm the project manager at Ingenics with Derek.
Hi, I'm Emily Boney, and I am a new intern at Ingenics. I was live tweeting today, so check it out.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Coate. I'm with a design and web development firm here in Ann Arbor called Q. We've been around for about 30 years. We've got clients from down the street, around the block, to across the world. So that's it.
Hi, my name is Liz Topping. I'm here with Dan Law. We work with Sean. We work at Adams Outdoors, so we have the ability to brand you outdoor, posters, digital, and bulletins. So if you want to get your name out there outdoor-wise. And Sean, it's 7 words or less, not 5.
Yeah, I know, but 5 was a target, and then they get 7.
Thanks.
I'm Dan Law.
I'm Jeremy Lewis. I'm the executive director of Ann Arbor Amateur Hockey Association. We have about 500 kids in the association now, looking to continue growing membership and sponsorship. So, see what happens.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Musial, and I have a company called 5522 Tech, and I work with companies and organizations to help them optimize their website for mobility. So if you have a site that needs some help with mobile, I'd love to talk to you about it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy from Dollarville Copying, your local digital print shop. And this is awesome. 2 weeks in a row, the speaker said you need print. It's wonderful. So don't forget.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Cruzell, and I work for Move Communications, and we do creative production, brand development, and strategic marketing.
Hi, I'm Myra Coughlin, co-founder of the Ann magazine, which has a great story. We've been doing this now for 4 years. We just launched our 5th year with the October issue, which is done by Jeremy Wheeler, a local graphic novelist. Kind of cool. Check it out.
My name is Aaron Harburg. I translate complicated concepts into motion graphics anyone can understand.
My name is Ann Abrams. I'm Director of Business Development for the Ann magazine.
And if you or your company are interested in reaching Ann Arbor Market or Washtenaw County, we have a unique product, like Myra said, and our strength is still in print, although we do have a digital presence as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is David Coleman. I work for Brandoodle. We monitor products and we monitor brands and retail pricing online to make sure things are aligned with the ideals of the organization.
Hello, I'm Ben Hancock. I'm a pizza chef and the bar manager at Neopolis, 500 East William. I mostly just needed to get out of the house today, so here I am. I'm also a life coach. I help people turn obstacles into opportunities. So if you have any obstacles, probably do. Feel free to ask me any question. I'm not flustered by anything.
I'm Monique Deshane. I started Al Dente Pasta Company right where the bathroom is at Grazie now, where it is now, but it used to be Complete Cuisine, so that's where we started 33 years ago. Back when many people didn't even know what pesto or fettuccine alfredo was, so that's how much has changed in 33 years in the pasta and food world. So anyway, I have lots of stories.
Hi, my name is Loretta Condrington, and my husband and I market and manage the careers of professional track athletes. We have a complicated product because we work with people. And so we're actually looking to find an agency or a company that can help us to overcome the challenge with our athletes. So if anybody here has that information, I'm willing to talk with you.
I'm Bud Gibson. I started the search marketing program at Eastern Michigan University. We work with nonprofits, and our students act as teams to those nonprofits to help them build their digital presence. That's how we started 6 years ago. We continue today. So if you know of anybody who needs some help in that area, come talk to me.
I'm Drew Marco, MBA student at Eastern Michigan University, and work alongside Bud planning the search marketing workshop.
Hi, I'm Carter Sherlin from Print Studios. I'm a commercial editorial and portrait photographer, sometimes videographer. As recently a drone pilot, we won't tell the FAA about that since they said the temporary ruling is you have to be an amateur to fly one. You can't fly the professional. It makes a lot of sense. I think they're afraid of paparazzi flying people's windows. I use it to shoot tracks of golf. And the images I shoot in these meetings will go up on their Facebook page. And a friend of mine asked me to mention that she comes to these meetings sometimes dressed in costume. She does a Carol Donuts, who does a one-woman show about Sarah Bernhardt. And she's doing performances on the 11th and 12th of October. And I have flyers for those if you're interested in that.
Thank you, Carter. And we did make it all around the room. We forgot Jordan in the back. Jordan Bruce, who probably checked you in. Jordan's a volunteer. He interns at my company. He's a Eastern Michigan University student right now, marketing, great guy. So we missed him. Yeah. Hi, Jordan. We didn't forget about you. And yeah, so mine's Derek. I guess I didn't totally introduce myself. I run a company called Ingenix Digital Marketing, and we focus on lead generation and helping drive traffic and qualified leads for businesses. And you know, it's interesting. I heard a lot of businesses today that would be perfect sponsors for LA2M. Didn't you? Yeah, just some perfect sponsorships. Because if you're looking to sell things to educated people in Southeast Michigan, people with money. I mean, we have 2,000 email lists that people open and they respond to. So think about it. Think about it. You should be a sponsor. I highly recommend it. You will get business. It's how it works. We should have a money back guarantee. We don't. But you'll get business. I mean, and it's for a good cause. I mean, we're a nonprofit, for real. Okay. No promises. All right. Anyways, so next week we had a change of plans. We have our speaker's not feeling well, so he's out. So we have a new speaker. So we're going to do a TEDx Detroit recap, which is going to be pretty cool. So any of you who can't make it to TEDx Detroit, which is the majority, which I understand, it's okay. It's Detroit, it's far.
And there's a cap on how many people
Yeah, right, maybe you gotta apply to get in, it's complex. But so next week, we're gonna have a panel up here. So we're gonna have Charlie Wahlberg from Curve. We're gonna have Janet, I forget her last name, the CEO of Airfoil PR. We're gonna have Alice. Janet Tyler, thank you. Yeah, I should have known that. We're gonna have Allison Lohr, who's a content strategist from Ingenix, who we're doing all the social media. And then we're also gonna have Valerie Sobchak, who handles the TEDx Labs. So we're gonna have a really cool panel up here talking about TEDx. We'll probably show a TED video. It'll be fun. So please bring a friend. You guys know Charlie Wahlberg, a lot of you. Obviously you know Janet Tyler. So come on up. Great presentation next week. And great presentation this week. Let's give one last round of applause.
Thank you all for coming out and look for more on storytelling from us real soon.
Yes.
We have a story to tell, we just haven't quite figured the story out yet.
Yes, it's storytelling. It's not just sitting down with your kids and reading them a story, it's in the marketing world. So storytelling from PWB. And I guess that's it. So come back next week, have a good week, make some money, help people, and thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Thanks so much. Bye.